Welcome to another episode of My Brother's Video Podcast. I'm your host, Eric the Fat Checker, and I am here with my brothers today. What is up, brothers?
What's up?
Yo.
What you tell, kid? How you be, kid?
That's what I'm talking about. We done been having some heated conversations already. That's what I love about,
all love.
Come on. And so today, in addition to what we've discussed, we want to talk about home ownership and renting. What are the pros and cons? Do the pros and cons still exist, or are things different now, given the fact that we have a new generation of individuals coming up in this world? So I believe all of us here are home owners. I will say myself, I didn't start owning until I was the age of 35. Part of that was due to the simple fact, my credit was jacked, period. Right. I had a lot of people say to me, Vance, you need to, get into a home, man, so you can get these write-offs. And so I want to talk about that, fellas. Everybody's a homeowner here. And Crooner, I want to start with you, man. How far back has it been since you first started owning? Because I remember, was Temecula your first, bro?
Yeah, 1989.
Because I remember visiting you up in the Mira Mesa area at the time, right? And then, 2002 for me, 1989 for you, and that was up in your Temecula, right?
Right.
Okay. Big Doc, when did you start have your purchase?
2005.
2005. Old Soul?
I believe 1994.
1994. And Donald?
1999.
99, right? So,
yes, sir.
Oh, so you've been owning the longest then, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Was that back in South Philly, or did that start here where you are currently?
Where I'm at currently.
I'm
at currently, yeah. South Philly, when we were in South Philly, we were renting. So from South Philly to where we're living at right now, I believe we have like another 4 or 5 years home will be paid for.
So let me ask you this. Why did you decide to start owning as opposed to continuing to rent? Like you could, and I want to ask everybody this question, right? What made your decision to say, I want to start owning as opposed to continuing to rent? Like what prompted you, especially given how, we've been raised? I'd love to hear your backgrounds and opinions on it.
Well, my background, my parents all rented. My parents rented. I moved with my sister. Of course, she rented apartment. When I moved out on my own, I started as an apartment renting there. And then when me and my wife at the time, my fiance, when we got engaged, we rented in South Philly. The reason why we wanted to get into a home, because of course it was, we wanted ownership, we wanted an investment. And the house we were coming out of South Philly, we were kind of dealing with some slumlords. We didn't know it at the time. But we had a lot of issues with that house as far as repairs and stuff like that. And we got to a point that why are we sinking all of our hard-earned money in something that really nobody cares about, where we could put some money in something that we can invest in, right? Something that we can have long-term, something that if we want to pass down to our child, we could pass down to him, or if something we want to sell, because you got to remember, I was blessed with, of course, when my mother passed away, my father passed away, they left me a sum of things to take care of as far as finances. Right. So that was kind of an envelope and an avenue to be able to purchase the home that we're in right now. So I'm grateful for that. So again, everything was an investment and building on. So that was the main reason. We just wanted to own. We didn't want to have to be responsible for sinking a sinking ship. Yeah. And if we were going to sink a ship and we were going to go down with the ship, it was going to be our ship.
Yeah. Crooner, you said you owned when again?
1994.
Crooner, you were next then?
I think 99, 89. I mean, I did 99.
And you, Donald?
99.
99. All right. So either one of you, why don't you just share real quick?
Well, we did it because it was funny because of I just retired in the military. No, I retired in the military in 96.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife's birthday is on the 15th of April. And when I was doing the karaoke and the military,
right?
Every year we were paying. So we had to pay the government on her birthday. She hated it. So one day I was just looking and I said, let's go to East Lake. And I found out then that the military guaranteed $250,000.
Right.
Everything East Lake was 280 and above.
Mm-hmm.
So then I saw this place in Temecula. It said it was 155 in Temecula.
The crib you in was 155 at the time?
Let me tell you.
Got equity, bro. Go
We
ahead.
got some upgrades, and we moved in for like 210.
Shit.
Okay, now we did it for write off, but it was one of the best investments I had because, see, here in Temecula, man, my place now has got a value of $600,000.
Yeah.
Woo.
Now, see, it grows in California, but my father-in-law came from Texas. He paid 280, and when he moved out, he got 290.
Yeah.
You know, being there for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
See, so you know, it depends on where you live at, but it was a good investment. You know, good investment.
Donald, how about you, bro?
Well, my circumstances were a little different because the house I live in is the house that I was raised in. So when my grandmom passed away in '97, my uncle was living here, and his trifling behind self. And if he was still alive today, he would still get cussed out. His trifling ass, and that's a fact statement, not an opinion. So he let the bills get really bad, right? So the sheriff was getting ready to do a sheriff sale. So I went to him and my mom and said, listen, grandma and grandpa, they were the first black couple that moved into this neighborhood in 1950. They bought their house for $7,000 in 1950. There was only 2 black families in Holmesburg at the time. You mean to tell me that their legacy is going to be thrown away because this trifling nigga didn't want to pay the bills? So I made them an offer. Now, again, I couldn't finance a paperclip, but I made them an offer, and I got financing, and I bought the house in '99. And you know, Doc, y'all was here. I mean, we played spades on the floor that wasn't even done. The walls were still we were still remodeling, and so that was, for me, it was about me saving my grandparents' legacy. And I wanted my kids to grow up in the same environment that Carl and I grew up in. I wanted them to know what it's like to grow up in Holmesburg. We were living we had lived in Albany and in North Philly, and in rent, we spent over $31,000 in those times of renting. And I didn't realize just how much money until I calculated. It's just sad. So
the catalyst for you wasn't initially savings. It was like it was saving the house.
Saving the house.
The family house.
The house.
Yeah, got it.
Yep.
Got it. Interesting. Big Doc, how about you, bro? What year was it again?
I got this house in 2005, and this was my cousin's house. And she bought this house around about the same time my mom bought her house on Huber Street. Mm-hmm. And my cousin came to me. He was like, yo, cuz, selling the crib, you want to buy it? I says, how much you want for it? He was like, yeah, give me 95. I says, nah, I can't do 95 for that. So months went past, and he's like, yo, fam, you still interested in the house? I said, yeah. I said, what price are you talking? He's like, well, what you talking? I said, I'll give you 50. He was like, okay, give me the 50. So then that's how I got it. And it's still, like Donald said, as far as keeping it in the family, it's still in the family. So that's why I took it and I got it.
Interesting. I purchased in 2002, and for me, everyone kept saying, man, you need to move away. I remember when Karuna purchased, and so everyone kept saying, you need to save, man, and get this tax write-off. You're paying for this rent, but you ain't so far from being able to pay a mortgage. And so at the time, I had purchased with an ex that I was with at the time, and my credit was shitty. She was pissed at me, as a matter of fact, because my credit was shitty. My credit was horrible, right? But I had money. You know what I mean? Like, I had established, myself in the workforce, and I had money. And so, we were able to put 20 down. And at the time, I think the home we ended up purchasing ended up being like 325 with everything in the upgrades. And it was a beautiful home. No homes on the back of it, like overseeing kind of like a mountainside and everything. Nice backyard.
Beautiful.
Is that the house we came to where you had the foxes running in the back?
Yeah.
And the house came there and said you was living like Tony Montana?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was, it was amazing, man. And long story short, that relationship didn't work out, but I ended up repurchasing again in 2007 into a condo because I wanted to always own. I said to myself, I'm gonna have owning was the way to go to keep having a nice write-off at the time, because the property taxes, the taxes in which you pay, you can write off and everything, right? And so, but when I went into this condo, man, oh my goodness, I had these HOAs that were just astronomical. So in addition to, I had a beautiful condo, like a New York condo in California, 3-story, man, incredible, immaculate place. But the cost of just the house itself, the condo payment, and then the HOAs was just incredible. But the whole intent of getting into owning was so that I can be paying myself back, and as Crooner mentioned, making money from that. So, fast forward, I ended up selling my condo, and I moved in with my wife. My wife, my current, my wife, one and only wife, right? I moved in with my wife. I sold my condo, and she got into the market when it dipped, Crooner, in 2009. She got into the market 2010, and she got the crib that we had originally lived in for like 3 something. Right. And then we ended up selling it for 6 something. Right. Like made some big bucks out of it, which allowed us to move. We ended up moving up to the Marietta area. Right. And then we were able to put a nice chunk sum of money down on the crib here, that we ended up paying 5 something for, 515 to be exact. We ended up paying 515 for the crib up here, and again, now the value is up. This is what, 2 years ago.
That crib is beautiful. Your house is beautiful.
2 years now. Thank you, man.
Oh,
2 years now, and it don't have the like the view, but it's got a beautiful backyard.
You got a pool, man.
Yeah,
nice little,
yeah,
outside sitting area. Man.
Something I always wanted, right? And so, and we up now. It's probably valued at about 560. 570 or so, and I'm not too far from Crooner because he's in the Temecula area. I am.
Temecula's the bougie area.
Yeah, I'm in Winchester, what they call Winchester proper.
I call myself. I say my family, only black family in Temecula.
Yeah, how funny.
Are you serious?
When I see a brother say, "Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?"
Listen, there is.
You made it.
There's very little, like, you walk down the street, bro. It ain't like Philly. You feel me? Hell, it ain't even like where I grew up at. Where I grew up at, where I previously lived. Like where I previously lived, there was I would say a nice diverse category of people. But out here, it's predominantly white, right? And then you have Latinos and blacks, but sparsely. But they're moving in. They're moving into the environment, right? More and more, because they're doing a lot of building up in this area. And so, as we move in, what do people do? Move out, right? So
seriously, are you, but I'll just have a question, because I know you guys have been moving around.
Yeah.
If you move in a neighborhood, you clearly can afford to live there. So why are they still doing the same stuff they did 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago?
I don't know. So I can't say they're necessarily moving out. I'm just saying that, right? Because historically, but some people move. I just made it. Yeah, I just made an assumption.
Just made an assumption.
Yeah, I did. Look, I just made an assumption,
and that's why
I called myself out on it. I called myself out on it. God damn it! I called myself.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's good, because you if you hadn't, I was on that ass.
I made an assumption, right? I don't know if people on that, right? But what I will say is this: I really wanted to talk about. Do you all now feel that you are definitely in a better position owning than you were renting?
Oh,
and
definitely.
Beneficial for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why do you feel that way?
It's yours. It's your foundation.
Not yet, it ain't.
Yeah, exactly. That can be taken at any time.
not yet, it ain't.
Not until you pay it off, brother. Even then, you still got to pay property taxes, but still. How about financially, Doc? Right, it's yours. I'm sure there's this feeling to, like, you're putting money into something that is yours. Hopefully, in the end, that you can pass down or do what you want. But from a financial perspective, Doc, are there benefits for you?
Well, I'm not on that type of note as far as on the financial state, because I'm not educated on that, so I don't know about the highs and the lows on that. That's why I got the preacher over there for. So when he does my taxes, he handles all that for me.
And yes, the fact that he has property Otherwise, he would be writing checks to the IRS every single year.
Got it. So, also, how about you, man? You've been obviously the longest in the home. How about you?
What was the question?
What are the benefits of owning, bro, as opposed to renting?
Oh, the benefits of owning. I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It belongs to us. It belongs to me. You know, it's something that it's something that my parents weren't able to accomplish. It's something that if I choose, I can hand it down to my son, who happens to be a homeowner himself and owns a duplex and is renting that out. So I'm proud of him. So it comes down to just a basic investment. The location also, I'm not that far from my in-laws who are elderly at this time. So, we need to get to them for any reason. But at the long run is the investment, and hopefully that we can build from that once it's time for us to retire, maybe to move to someplace warmer. And hopefully this could be the next step to something else, possibly Florida, possibly California.
You mentioned your son. I don't know if you want to come to California, brother, because this cost of living is atrocious out here.
Well, Florida,
Florida
is number one for us.
Yeah, they moving to Texas.
Yeah, Florida or the Caribbean for us.
So real quick, you mentioned that your son owns. So he lives in this place and rents out the duplex. He lives in a duplex and rents out, other places within that duplex.
Yeah, there's another property inside of it. I guess below him, he rents that out. So, and we like to think that we were the incentive for him to be able to get that hustle mentality to do something like that. When he saw what we were going through, I mean, he rented an apartment also when he moved out on his own after he came out the military. But he saw what we went through, as far as when we lived in South Philly as a family. And so I guess he needed to get that hustle mentality to realize, look, there's got to be something more than just sinking my money into somebody else. I want to own property. And he hopefully eventually wants to stack it from there. This is the first one. He wants to get into other properties from there. So that's the motivating factor for him.
Crooner, how about for you, brother? What benefits have you and the family experienced?
Well, you know what? Just to be on the funny side, you saw some of the benefits for renting. Talk about my 40th birthday party. Woo! Wait!
What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about?
Woo! They start streaking and stripping. I'm like, what the hell? Woo! That was a party. What got me about renting was
Come on. What party you talking about?
My 40th birthday party, man, at the condo. Remember?
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Yes, you was. Me, you, Cam, was there. You brought old girl with you. You was there.
Oh, I don't remember.
Ken Dude was there. Nick, you was at my 40th, man. Come on, man. You my dog. You was there at my 40th. Get out of here.
My memory must be.
You ain't lying. Smoking too much, whatever. Never mind.
Oh, have mercy. Go ahead.
Anyway, the renting man was toxic because you had to deal with, like you say, to deal with the landlords of fixing stuff. It wasn't your stuff to fix, and I just didn't care about the rent. And then also, if I would have known that the property values were shot up the way it did, I would have got a couple places, but I was not in the know. And one thing we did that me and Cindy did, we had a good conversation about this. We said, you know what, we want to move into a place that only one income can take care of it. In case something happens.
The key. That's the key.
Something happened, only one income can take care of it.
Yeah. And
that's what we did.
Also, you close to paying yours off. Crooner, how about you? Are you close to paying yours off?
Man, we get you started on that, man. She keep taking these seconds. Oh, man.
Hey, I want to talk about that. But also, you close to paying yours off, right?
Man, my Bible be paid off 15 years, man. Right when we got close to it, she said, Leon, and like you said earlier, preacher, I was soft. Okay, baby. Okay, baby.
Donald, what are the benefits you experiencing, bro, from you? Because you've been in the crib. You do real estate too, Donald, right?
Yeah, I have some property, and I'm about to purchase another building down in West Philly for about $500,000. But listen, I used the equity in this house to get the property and buy the property. I mean, I used not just the equity, but I was fortunate enough that when I bought the property, I got it for $65, and it appraised at $235.
Your current property?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
that
good.
the house I'm living in,
Damn.
because I got the house, the lot. Not to mention the fact that before I moved in, I dropped 30 grand
Yeah.
before we even moved
What
in.
percentage was that, by the way?
When my first mortgage.
Yeah. No,
The
no. What
first,
percentage of that was that whole down payment? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50?
oh, I didn't have to put nothing down.
Oh, you said you
I didn't
dropped
put
30 grand.
Yeah, 30,000
Renovation
to
fund.
renovation.
Oh, got it. Okay, I'm
The,
sorry.
the
Yeah, yeah,
siding, the windows, the interior, the brand new kitchen, the whole nine. So yeah, so once I dropped that money into it, the price when I had it appraised in 2013,
yeah.
the appraisal value was through the roof.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at, so I just took money out, rolled it, flipped it, rolled it, flipped it.
Yeah.
But the rate I'm paying now is like 3%. It's almost nothing, right? You could double it up, right? And I tell people all the time, this is just me and my stuff. Don't be in a hurry to pay it off, because that takes away the tax write-off. So if you're going to pay it off, and that income that you're now going to generate from the mortgage, you should put at least 50% of your mortgage payment in a bank, so that when you do your taxes at the end of the year, because you're taking away your tax write-off, you're going to be ready to write that check
I want to talk
to
about
the
that.
United States government.
I want to talk about that because I have a question for you. Is that still, and you probably will say yes, but I want to talk about it without getting to detail. Is that still valid with the tax cap that Trump implemented?
It's yeah, but see, that's funny because he did implement a tax cap, and then Jersey actually took it even a step further. You can only write off $10,000
That's
of your property taxes.
That's the number I just wrote
Yes,
down.
yeah,
That's the number I just wrote down.
$10,000. Yes, but imagine if you didn't have that $10,000 deduction.
Mhm.
Well, so when you take a deduction, and I mean just real quick, it reduces your tax liability.
Yeah, sure.
That's
But
right. So
in order to have a $10,000 tax cap, you gotta have
right,
you gotta have a shitload of a property.
yeah. My friend who lives in Jersey, he bought a house
very
in
high
Wildwood.
taxes.
He bought a property in Wildwood. His taxes is like $22,000 for his shore house.
Yeah.
And he was, and it's funny because he he voted for the governor of New Jersey, but they didn't know. And the governor raised they did that for the mortgages. And guess what? Remember how gas prices used to be 40 cents cheaper over Jersey? Not no more, brother. 22 cents. And it costs you $5 to get across the bridge. So if you save that 22 cents and you get 10 gallons, that's $2, right? 20 something cent. You still in the whole $3. So just stay over, keep your behind in Philly and get your gas.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So, no, that's why I asked, because a lot of people, like, my goal is to pay the house off, right? Like,
yes,
soon, right? We went ahead and took ours down to a 15-year mortgage, and we've been doubling up. When I was working, we've been doubling up on payments, and so because the goal was to try to pay it off in 4 years, right? Because I want to really not retire, but semi, where I can just focus on my career coaching, right? And or go work at a university, doing career coaching, right? Working with students, but I got to take care of this big liability, or should I say this big bill, right? Is my theory. But I wanted to talk about it, right? Because home owning can be very beneficial, but it can also not necessarily be super beneficial, especially if you don't use the dollars in the right way, right? Like, you want to generate revenue, or should I say income, from the properties, but periodically you go, like, so Crooner talked about how we sold, you had revenue in your home, Crooner, but then you went and took another one out, or
equity.
Yeah, equity. Thank you. Equity. Thank you for that word choice there. So equity in the house, and then you took money out, right? Which there's nothing wrong with taking money out on the crib. The question is to what extent do you take money out and how much, right? And you start putting yourself back in a position where you're not really having equity, that is, in your home. I don't know. Is that a good thing or bad thing?
I don't know. I don't know anybody in California would see, like, you take 100,000 out of on your home, you still got equity. Like I told you, I came in for like less than 2, and it's at 6 now. And plus, we got a couple of investments too that I don't necessarily want to talk about it, but we got more than one property we invested in.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I just say that.
That's beautiful, because I don't, and I would love to get there.
Yeah.
And so
let me ask you something that came to mind. Now, I don't know if you got solar or not, Vance, but solar will increase the value of your place.
Oh, no, we always get solar, brother.
Okay, cool.
I'm always trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Cool.
I'm trying. Look, well, solar increases it, but it don't increase it that much. I mean, don't let them fool you, because I sold the house with solar. It don't increase it by that much now. Believe me, not at all. But so Donald, I want to go to you because I know you do a lot of reinvestment of properties. I want to talk about.
Mhm.
So first of all, this is for everybody. Do we think that home owning and or renting is home ownership is better than renting now, given the new generation? I say that because the research that I've seen is that given the new generation and of individuals coming up right now, they are they tend to not stay around, or they move different places and not sure where they're going to be living. And so is it beneficial? Because some of the research that I've been doing says that if you're planning to own, you should own if you're planning to stay in a place for about 5 years or so, right, to get a potential return from it. And to Karuna's point, in California, you can make some real good money quickly because there's a supply and demand issue over here, right? But in other areas, like that percentage doesn't go up drastically. I mean, sometimes it goes up less than the S&P, right? And so you're not even getting to 10%. So I don't know. Is home ownership better than renting, or does it just depend on the scenario? Like, what are your thoughts, gentlemen?
I think it's better,
Well,
better to own.
my thoughts is real quick is that you have to know what your next moves are. What do you for example, if you're an IT professional, it would behoove you to rent because you can make it. You could get a job and working here and make it 65,000, and somebody can offer you a job and tell you to move to Jersey, right? You don't want to be restricted to one particular area. I know a lot of IT professionals, they stay at a location, especially Silicon Valley. They there for 2 years, they get their assignment and they move on, right? And they bounce around. So, and also in this area here in Philadelphia, unless you're buying in the gentrified areas, which I'm talking North Philly, down around Temple campus,
Yep.
16th, 17th and Norris, Cecil B.
Yep.
Moore. If you're not buying down in that area where the row homes would normally was $30,000-$40,000, them same row homes now is being gentrified and they're going for $350,000. If you're not buying in that area, like they call it Port Richmond, Nicetown, if you're not buying in those areas, then don't come to Mayfair. I'm gonna tell you right now, I live in Holmesburg. Don't come to Mayfair. Mayfair is not the Mayfair that we grew up loving. So you have to know location. Where are you buying at? When you buying the house, are you already underwater? Are you gonna be underwater a year from now? So depending upon your job, your stability, and where you are now, my son, I love him and he watches, right? He wanted to move down Center City. I said, son, listen, for the money you paying for this room that's no bigger than my living room, listen, you paying $1,000 a month, $3,000 down. You've been down there, you done spent like 50 grand already, and you giving that money away. You could have put yourself in a house. He said, Dad, I roll out of bed and City Hall is a 5-minute walk. I don't have to take 9 minutes. I don't have to take out the trash. I don't have to wash a dish. I don't have to load the dishwasher. I can take an hour-long shower if I want. So for him, for his peace of mind, now they all pay rent, by the way.
Yeah.
My daughter paid rent. When Chris lived here, he paid rent. Frankie paid rent. Okay. So at one point, bro, I was looking at almost $1,200 a month. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead, Bookman.
Yo, that's that 2021 caddy that's sitting outside, you know.
Bookman,
But you know what I'm saying? No, so depending upon your perspective and what you need, right? I mean, it's a win-win if that's where you like to move. But if for me, most of us, I've been on the same job for 35 years.
Yeah.
I believe the other two brothers is with us here, been there for at least 20 years. I think at least minimum 20 years at the same gig. So I'm not selling this house. I'm not moving. Now, unless somebody come down the street and offer me $500,000, I'm gonna tell my kids, love you, me and the wife and the dog, we out. But that's unlikely to happen.
Yeah. What? Anybody else? Any thoughts on that? Right? Renting versus owning for this new generation.
Well, it also comes down to there's a part of it only because I got out here when I was young to rent. It is a key ingredient of being disciplined enough also, right? A lot of factors are in there, what the preacher said, as far as career, job, and movement and age. But a lot of it comes down to discipline, right?
To own also?
If you're going to start, okay, now for me, I know at my age, I needed to rent because I wasn't mature enough. You feel me? I wasn't mature enough to get into that mindset of a mortgage.
We remember the parties.
Okay.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so there's a part of maturity that plays a large role in which one you want to do. If you're mature enough and you have the funds and the career to do that, I would say go ahead and buy mortgage. But if you're not and you're out here for the first time, you got to admit, somebody getting out here for the first time, that's a major accomplishment in itself, right? Yeah. So if you're in the mentality of being able to rent and you feel as though that you can handle that before mortgage, fine, because you don't want to walk away from renting, but there are kind of some loopholes. Not when it comes to mortgage, because it will jack your credit up. Mm-hmm. So my thing is everything that Donald said, but the ingredient of being disciplined enough to know which one fits you, what lane is good for you, renting or buying.
Yeah. What do you say, Crooner? Any thoughts?
No, I don't really say this. I think buying is the best way. Matter of fact, my son's gonna buy this year, and I've been talking to him about it. But I'm gonna definitely hit him up about the HOAs, because HOA, I know when I rented, boy, them HOAs is no joke.
Yeah, so go ahead.
What is the HOA? What's the HOA?
Homeowners Association.
Yeah. Homeowners Association.
Yeah.
All right. For the trash and all those.
They don't have that in Philly. Okay.
All right.
They don't have that in Philly.
You were paying that on top of your rent and all your other stuff, is what you're saying.
On top of the mortgage. I'm paying on top of the mortgage.
Depending on where you
live. What depending on where you live and how much you got. I live on a golf course.
I'll give you an example.
I got a whole lot of stuff.
We have HOA fee. They're called council people.
Council people?
Council people.
Yeah, they're called crooks. He's being nice. They're called crooks.
So Crooner, what is your HOA?
$250.
So when I lived in Eastlake, I had 2 HOAs.
Two?
Where the community was separated. When I had my condo, 2 HOAs. My HOAs were like $400 and some odd a month on top of my mortgage.
Yeah.
Where I live now, $120 a year.
A year.
You heard me.
Yeah.
Hey,
a year.
Look, I was not trying to pay an arm and a leg and HOAs on top of a mortgage.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking long term, once this house is paid off, what do we have to pay from a property tax perspective? But I'm still thinking about what Donald said, right? Pay it off to a certain amount and still have some write-off. And I think that would depend on, from a tax bracket perspective, like what they offer from a write-off, because everything's capped. Well, let me be careful because I don't know for sure. I know there's a cap, and I think the cap's around 10. I think the cap is around $10,000. Which
I know for a fact that it's 10 grand in Jersey. That I can speak for a fact. And I'm not worried about any of my customers in Philadelphia because none of them have had a $10,000 mortgage interest on. I had that on a business loan, but that's completely separate. My corporate tax rate under was 21%. So that's completely separate. Under Mr. Biden and his team, they're going to push that to either where. I think that they said it was either going to be 28 to 35% the corporate tax rate, and that's going to affect me on the corporate side. But
so we all agree that home owning, there's a benefit to it because of the write-off of taxes, right? And then if you do decide, you have to make a decision versus homeowner versus rent, depending on what your goals are, whether or not you're moving around, depending on what profession you're in, et cetera. But let's talk about homeowners, because you can get into a home at different percentages down, but there's an impact to that, right? Like if you're coming out of the service, Crooner, how much did you have to put down? Do you recall? The average standard that they say people should put down is around 20%.
Oh, we put down. We put down.
Okay.
We put down it was over 20% because the place, like I said, was 175. We put down 30.
Yeah, because they say put down 20% so you don't have to do PMI.
Yeah, we put down
property, mortgage, insurance is an extra.
Insurance. Yeah,
you don't have to pay the 20%.
We had some money. We had some money on the side. Cause we came in also. She came in with upgrades. She wanted to pay for all the upgrades.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But I'm just saying for our viewing audience out there or listeners, right? The more you put down, would you agree, Donald? The more you put down, the better off you are.
Well, there's different types of loans. So if you want a conventional loan, if you're going conventional, or you're going Philadelphia, or you're going to HUD. See, HUD doesn't require a down payment, and here in Philadelphia,
right?
Yes, you're correct. So I have a young lady who's a sophomore in college,
Mm.
just bought her first duplex, 0 down, first time home buyers. She's 20 years old. She got her first duplex. She's in college, okay? And that was an investment. Her father's a contractor. So he's going to do all the work. She's going to live in one floor and rent the other. Now, she's 20. She doesn't know where she's going to be 5 years from now, but guess what she's going to have? Residual income.
Also, military, you ain't got to put a down payment on if you're military retirement, but it always helps if you do.
So, in essence, when it comes to home ownership, what are all the benefits that you think one can receive from home ownership?
That equity.
Equity.
Long-term equity. Long-term.
And also, you know your place. You know what you need. You ain't got nothing breaking down on you, because you know your place.
Yeah.
You know.
What do you think is the worst thing someone can do owning a property?
Not knowing.
What's that mean?
The worst thing?
Sure. Doc, what's not knowing mean?
Like the foundation, just as far as what you need inside the house to be fixed. The plumbing, the walls, just the foundation, all the stuff.
So one, if they're purchasing, they should know like what they're getting themselves into.
What they're getting themselves involved with.
Yeah. Also, Crooner and Donald, you own a home. What do you think is one of the worst things you can do having a home?
Having a home?
He says one of the worst things you can do owning a home. Yeah. And that for me is letting things go that needs to be done, because one problem exacerbates another. So you have to make sure that you're doing the upkeep, right?
Yeah. And don't cut corners, man. God, man.
You ain't never lied.
Don't get your homie that they never done
that. And if you do get your homie, pay your damn contractor.
Yeah.
Ooh, Lord.
Do any of you think that overextending yourself on your home is an issue, right? Like taking way too much out of your equity, or is that ever an issue? I don't know. I'm asking, right? Because my goal is to pay it off, but for some, they use their money in different ways to purchase properties and get other properties, right? Any thoughts on that?
I've never overextended myself. Whatever equity that I had, we put right back into our home.
Yeah.
Remodel. So the overextension part, there's a difference between being overextended and going to the casino, blowing the money at the casino,
right,
versus buying other properties, because what I'm trying to generate for my legacy is so that my kids each will have a property. Yeah. When I die, they'll have a property. I don't care what they do with the property. If they want to sell it, sell it. They want to live in it, live in it. That's my objective. My objective is building wealth. And if I can use the property that I'm going to live in for the rest of my life, if I can utilize that to generate wealth in other areas, right, it just makes common sense for me to do that. And like you said, if I lose my job tomorrow, she don't want to hear this because she in the room, but she could hold it down.
Yeah.
Because the mortgage ain't so out of pocket that she'd be looking at me like nigga, and I'd be like, it's good, babe. I got you.
Got you. But listen. Thank you all for watching. Whatever decision you make, go in with a plan. Be it whether you're a homeowner or a renter, go in with a plan. I think we all agree with that. I think we all agree home ownership does have some benefits, especially from an equity perspective. But go in with a plan about what you expect that you're going to do, right? And so this is just our perspectives and only our perspectives. Always do your research. And depending on where you live, things will, that equity could look different for many of you. But we wanted to just have the topic. We had some hot conversations today. I love it. I fucking love it. God damn. Yes. And I love y'all, man. Seriously, I love y'all, man. I
love you too, bro.
I used to spend a lot of money in grad school to have these conversations. This is why I'm doing a podcast. I spent like $600 per credit for conversations that were super deep. And I'm like, why the hell am I spending all this money when I can have these conversations with some other folks? You know what I mean?
Vance,
and still do this. So
Vance, I love you, but that's just my opinion.
Leon. We out, fellas. I love y'all. And
are you basing that opinion on fact?
To our audience, we love y'all. If you enjoy this, subscribe and share. We keep it 100% real for you every time. So one last thing I want to do is give the shout out to my man Candu's family. He had a passing, and so Candy.
Two, man. Two.
My condolences, good brother.
My,
Yeah,
my
man.
condolences.
Boy.
Take
All right.
care. Later, fellas.
We out. Peace.
Later.
My brothers, my brothers, my brothers, my brothers, my brothers. Video podcast.